This is the semester calendar that we'll be using for the course this fall. And so this is what you should be looking at to determine your study time and keeping up with the material on a weekly basis. So we decided to put everything together in this calendar to kind of relay it to what the course would have been in terms of in-person lecture, which is kind of here, and basically what it's going to be in terms of online materials, which is kind of here. So let's just kind of look at how this is set up. So here's a lecture, and each lecture would be, if this were like our in-person course, which it was initially designed as, our first class would have been Monday at 8:10, on 8:10, so it'd be August 10th, and it would have started at 8:30. So now it's online. It starts whenever you log on, right? So that's the convenience of the online course. And so G would be Goshe, that would be me. And notice there's all these G's here. The first 8 lectures, in other words, the first 4 weeks, I'm going to be covering these topics. But then there would be an exam. So the way we have it set up, I cover the material up to the first exam, and then you see R come in, so Dr. Rose picks up what we would call lecture 9. That would be the second exam, and then he would have the second exam, and then for the final exam, Dr. Rose and I will be contributing to that equally, and so the last 4 weeks of the course, he does 2, I do 2, and then the exam is comprehensive. So it'll be 50-50 on that one, okay? So for the way that we have it set, like I said, it's based on a weekly basis. And so for the first Monday lecture, I would have, I've done lectures on the structure of cells, chemical functional groups, non-covalent interactions, and properties of water. So that would have been all just one 75-minute lecture. But what we did for the online course is I broke it up into topics. And so each topic has its own set of slides, which are posted as a PDF. And each slide has an initial learning objective slide at the beginning. So it has the topic and what the learning objectives are for that topic on the first slide. So you can use the learning objectives as your study guide. What do I need to know from this topic? It's contained in the learning objectives of that slide, first slide of the topic. So each topic has its own set of learning objectives, so it's kind of like a built-in study guide for you to figure out what you need to study for. What's the important points of these particular topics? There's also a video for each one of these topics where we go over the slides and a video presentation. So you'll hear our voices and the laser pointer, like we're seeing now, going over those particular topics. And so the best way to study for that would be to initially get your slides out. I would basically look over the slides to see what the material was, and then I would watch the video, and I would kind of make notes as to what was being emphasized in the video lecture and annotate my own slides to emphasize what's important and keep track of it that way. Okay. Another thing you'd want to also consider is the chapters in which these topics are covered in your textbook and Appling. So this first Monday lecture, chapter 1 is always some introductory chapter for any textbook, which is kind of interesting to kind of just read for just seeing how people view biochemistry. But chapter 2 starts to get into a little bit more of the biochemistry part, particularly with the non-covalent interactions and properties of water there. So I would also read the chapter of the book before I would listen to the lectures, just to kind of read that. So if I were studying, say, okay, chapters 1 and 2 are the first week, so let me just read those 2 chapters out of the book. Even if I don't understand, I wouldn't linger and try to figure it out myself. I just read it to try to see if I can get some insight. Okay, didn't understand that too well, but let's see what the lectures have in it that will help elaborate that I can't read on my own and understand it. So I definitely read the chapters, then get the slides ready for each topic. Look at the slides first, see what is contained, read that myself. Okay, I'm not too sure about this. Let's see what the instructor has to say. Then watch the video, then you can annotate your slides. And then if you want to take it further, like a lot of students do, you can look at the learning objectives from each topic, and you can make your own study notes based on those learning objectives. So you have your own set of study notes if you want to do it that way. So everyone has a different way of doing it. I never made study notes. I just took what notes I had and I just kind of put marks on them and things that I would need to know, and I would just study from that, as opposed to rewriting another set of notes. Some people find it beneficial to write it again. That helps them learn and helps organize it. Some people will keep writing their study notes into more condensed form till they get a final study set of notes for the exam. Everyone does it differently. There's no right or wrong way. It's just that you have to spend time trying to figure out the concepts that are being presented and how the best way to organize your work so that you learn the concepts. Problem set 1 is due the first week, and it has problems related to these topics. The Moodle assignment, which will be due Friday of that week, is our first one, and that's one where you work on, turn it in, and the TAs will grade it, and it'll be worth 6 points. The mastering assignments will be on the Pearson website, and the first assignment I'm calling M00, Mastering 00, is an intro to mastering. I suggest you just watch that. There's like videos and some practice things to learn how to do the mastering problems. So there's, like I said, there's some problems where you have to draw structures, some problems where you have to do actual calculations, multiple choice true and false. Well, multiple choice true and false is pretty easy. You click on a selection. But drawing structures in that, you may need some practice. And so the intro to mastering also provides you some practice before you actually start toying with that a little bit and trying to do it for graded. So if you make a mistake in your drawing and you submit it and it's wrong, well, how do I draw this correctly? Use the intro to mastering assignment that's posted there. It's not graded, so you don't, if you make mistakes, it doesn't matter. It's just to give you some practice. You don't have to complete it all, but you can at least try it. Say, oh, I got this. I don't have to do the rest of these things. And you can make sure that you're confident in how mastering is set up so that you can start working on the first graded assignment, M01, okay? In addition to the tools that are available in your All-In with Pearson, you have tutorials. Sometimes Dr. Rose and I will assign some for you to watch that will be part of your mastering assignment. Often we don't. They're available for you to watch. There's videos for you to watch. There's summary pages of the chapters. There's many things on there to help you study that you could utilize. That's part of that mastering package. So the intro kind of introduces you to some of those options that are available. Some may be assigned with the mastering, some are not. We don't assign you every possible mastering problem. You'd never get them done. There's so many things to choose from. We pick and choose key ones we think are important that would be useful to you in terms of your study, and you can get those bonus points for that. But there's many other things you can try as well to help you with your study. So you have an option of many things, many options to help you in studying. So you'll have more problems than you can have time to work on. So that's the whole point, is to give you as much work, examples, practice that you need. Okay? So that's just the first day, Monday. All right? So the second lecture would have been on Wednesday because it's a Monday-Wednesday class. And in this case, we have only two topics here: the chemical properties of acids and bases and the chemical properties of buffers. Oh, there's only two topics. Yeah, but those topics are a little more involved. And so some topics may be only 10 minutes in duration in terms of a lecture, or 15 minutes. Other topics may be a 40-minute lecture. It just depends on the material of the topic. So we try to keep them concise, but some topics are just a lot of things you need to discuss, and you can't really break it down. I guess you could break down acids, one topic, bases the other, but because they're related, it's better to keep them together as one topic, okay? And it's better to put buffers as a separate topic, as you'll see. So these are kind of sometimes arbitrary groupings that we have made, and so as a result, some of these topics may be a little more detailed than others, but it's kind of broken down into discrete units that you can read. But follow the order because things build up. You don't want to start on topic 5 without going through topics 1 through 4. So that's why they're numbered sequentially for you to work on. And then this will be covered the rest of chapter 2. So notice that the first week is basically chapter 1 and 2 in your textbook, covering 7 topics, and problem set 1 and assignment 1 is due Friday, and the Moodle assignment M1, you should work on that and try to finish that up your first week. They're not really due until the exam, so you don't really have to do them, but it helps you to do them while you're learning it so you can learn the material. You don't want to put off these mastering assignments too late. The problem sets aren't graded. This one's graded, so you have to turn this one in to get a grade. These you work on your own, and we post the answers on Wednesday later in the week so you can see how you're doing, and then you can work on the assignment for a grade after practicing some problems, and you can apply your knowledge and your problem solving skills to the assignment that's going to be graded. So this is basically the typical layout every week. And so let's just look at week 2. See, very similar. Some topics. This is all chapter 3, problem set 2, assignment 2, mastering 2, so on. Some of the mastering numbers may be different based on the breakdown of the chapters here. And so again, just kind of use this as your guide to help you study. So mastering assignment 3 will have chapter 5 material in it, but mastering 4 will have 6 and 7, even though it's the same week. So use this as your guide to help you study. Now, when it comes to the final week 4 of the topic 21, that's 1 month into the semester, now we're going to have our first exam. So what would be our Monday lecture? I'm just calling it Review Concepts for Exam Self-Study. You just study for the exam. There's no new material to worry about. And that Wednesday we'll have your exam. Now it says here 75 minutes in class, but that was the original setting that was in there. And so it's actually supposed to be lectures 1 through 8 here, which would be online. So that will be our online exam that we would have for the class. And then your mastering M1 through M5 is due at 8 a.m. for the bonus points. So those are due on the day of the exam. So you don't want to, like I said, do these that weekend, because you should do them each week to keep up with the material. And then once you've finished up week 4's material, then you have several days that you can kind of go back and review material and get your exam done, or be prepared for your exam, and then take it on Wednesday. So that's kind of how the weekly schedule is set up. So then in week 6, Dr. Rose will have his material that he'll cover, and here are his assignments. Again, these things can fluctuate a little bit depending on how we develop it, but I've already got my stuff ready to go, so these assignments are good. Dr. Rose may move a little bit of these around, but this looks like his assignment that he has set up now, so he'll follow that approach. If we go to the page, and you can see his exam would be during week 10, and so he'll have a review concepts and another exam too, which will be for his lecture series. Topics 9, lectures 9 through 16 are his topics. And his Moodle assignments M6 through M10 would be due on exam day. Then we start week 11. And again, follow the same format. And so our last week, week 14, We'll do photosynthesis and amino acid metabolism, hitting some key things there. And that will be our final week of material. And so our last lecture would be that Wednesday. So it's the same as before. We're following the exam schedule posted by the university exam schedule, which they said that based on our course offering here on a Monday, Wednesday, our final exam is going to be on 11/16, which is Monday, from 8:30 a.m. to 11. So we're going to schedule our online exam for that day, which will be comprehensive. And so your Moodle points from M11 to M15 will be applied, or not Moodle points, mastering points will be applied to that final exam as your bonus points, M11 through M15. So you can see that there's 5 mastering assignments per exam that will be used to calculate bonus points for you. And the final exam will be worth 200 points. And we're going to still honor the university scheduled day because you have other exams and other final exams. And so we need to kind of make sure that there's no overlap there. And so we're going to follow the exam day posted by the university exam schedule. So that will be Monday. Okay? So you can see you have to keep up with the material. There is, with this condensed semester, there are no fall breaks. There's no more Labor Day. It's just every week there's class and there's no breaks. And so we're done a lot earlier than we normally are, right? Usually we have Thanksgiving break and all these other things to study, and then you come back for the last week of classes, and then you start taking finals, and you may be done by December 13th, right? Well, we're finishing a month early here. So everything's condensed. So there's no breaks. In fact, you lost a week of courses in the way that they set this up. So we had to condense some of these topics down because we lost some weeks in there. And so we tried to make it as comprehensive as possible by doing this in this topic way. And then we can kind of pick and choose what we want from these different overall main topics into smaller subtopics that we're going to be lecturing on. So we did our best to try to condense as much as we could in this online course for you to learn as much biochemistry as possible. And so you can see we go up to chapter 18, but we don't cover all the chapters from 1 to 18. A couple we skip out, or we just do certain parts of the chapters. But sometimes we elaborate more on certain key areas more, or sometimes we'll just get more general concepts from a chapter. So like chapter 18, we're not covering everything, just some key topics of those chapters, and to try to make it as most comprehensive course as possible. So if you wanted to test yourself, how can I test myself? I've done the mastering, I've looked at your problem sets, I looked at the answers, I got all that, I got the assignment figured out, I'm good. How can I test myself with more problems? Well, these are some selected problems Dr. Rose and I looked at and said, well, these aren't necessarily on the mastering problems or in the problem sets that we gave you. They may be similar, but they're not exactly the same. And so these would be good ones if you wanted to test how well you know your principles, if you wanted to have a problem you've never seen before in prepping for the exam, like that review week where you're saying, well, gee, can I see how good I am on some of these problems? Well, here are the chapters, and here are the problems we suggest you try. All of these problems have answers in the back of the textbook. In other words, the textbook has answers for these problems. So you can test yourself. You can try chapter 2, problem 9. Work it out, look for the answer and see how well you did. They have the solutions posted, so you can see that with your Pearson subscription to All In. So these will be some ones you can test as well. So you can test yourself on a few of these. You don't have to do all of them, but you're welcome to do that. I think we have provided enough opportunities for problems and doing homework that you have plenty of opportunities to test yourself. But if you wanted some extra exercises to do, you can try these suggested problems at the end of the chapters, and the answers are provided by the publisher in the Pearson. So you got to look at the chapter number and the topic to find out what would be applicable in terms of the chapter here. So it's just listed by chapter, not by topic. So follow this events guideline. It's going to keep you focused on the semester. And if there are changes to the events, we can post a new event calendar, a new semester calendar. If there happens to be some changes to the events calendar, we can post an updated one as opposed to the entire syllabus. We can just have the events calendar updated if needed. But right now we're going to go with this one, and any changes will be minor, but not to a point where it's going to drastically change. So use this as your guide to help you study throughout the semester and keep up with the weekly assignments and the weekly topics as you study for the course. So if you have good discipline and you study weekly and you put the time in, you'll enjoy the subject, you'll be learning biochemistry, and you'll be wanting to learn more, and it will be a challenging semester, but a rewarding one because you'll learn a lot. If you do not keep up weekly and try to do it just on the weekends, or well, I'll wait for 2 weeks to start looking at this stuff, you'll fall behind, you'll get overwhelmed, there's so much to look at, I can't, and then you'll just freak out, and you'll never catch up because it's not going to stop. There's no breaks, there's no fall break, it's just go, go, go. So try to keep up with it daily if possible. If you can't do a day, fine, but try to do it the next day. Don't let too many days elapse without looking at the material and working on biochemistry, okay? So we're here to help you as much as we can, but the best help is to help yourself by scheduling time and working on the assignments.